Hi, everyone. It's me again, Andrea, coming to you live from Florida, where it's very sunny and hot. We do not have fall yet, like some of you. So it's a beautiful day here. I hope you're having a good day or afternoon or evening, wherever you are. In this lesson, we are going to talk about indefinite pronouns. Earlier this week, I had posted on Facebook and Instagram a story, some people called it, about everybody, somebody, anybody, and nobody. And I'm going to talk about that today because I know that they are kind of confusing for some people, when they're used, how they're used. So we're going to break it down today, talk about them, and hopefully by the end of the lesson, you will have less confusion and more clarity in regard to indefinite pronouns. Sorry. So first, let's talk about what indefinite pronouns are, okay? A pronoun is a part of speech that represents a noun. And so we know that nouns are a person, a place, or a thing. So a pronoun represents a noun. For example, the pronoun, it's a subject pronoun. The subject pronoun he represents my father, my brother, my husband, my boyfriend, my dog, if it's a boy. So he represents a male person or thing. And it's the same with she, the subject pronoun she. She can represent my mother, your mother, sister, best friend, whatever is a female. So those are examples of subject pronouns. These are pronouns, again, they represent a noun, but they're indefinite pronouns. And so what does that mean? Indefinite means not definite, right? The prefix in usually means not, or the opposite. So indefinite pronouns are pronouns that are not definite. They are not defined. They are not clear. Basically, you don't know what they are, okay? And so an indefinite pronoun represents a pronoun that you don't know what it is. And in this case, we're talking about everybody, everyone, somebody, someone, anybody, anyone, nobody, no one. That's 8. And what we're going to talk about is the fact that they don't represent a specific person. You don't know who, and you don't know how many people. And that's why they're indefinite, because you don't know who the people are that you're talking about or referring to, and you don't know how many there are, okay? So the first thing that I want to clarify is that one and body, so for example, everyone, everybody, they mean the same thing. So I have these here for those of you who are visual learners. Most people are. One and body are the same thing. Okay? So when you hear someone say everybody, anybody, nobody, it's the same as saying everyone, anyone, no one. It's the same thing. Okay? The only difference is, there's one difference, and that's a spelling difference. And the difference is that all 7 are one word. They're combined as one word. They're kind of like compound nouns. So every is a word, body is a word. You put them together, you have everybody. The same as train is a word, station is a word. Put them together, train station. So we have lots of compound nouns in English, and no one is the exception. No one is spelled separately like this. 2 different words, okay? Just so you're aware of the spelling, because I know for a lot of people spelling is a big issue. All right, so let's talk about what they mean, okay? Every, I think, is pretty clear. Every means all. So every single one. So if we're talking about people and we don't really know who they are or how many they are, we can say that we know that we're talking about all of them. Okay, so every means all. So everybody and everyone both mean all. They mean the same thing. Now the opposite of every is no. No is none. So 0 people. So they're the two extremes. Every is all and no is none. Okay? And again, nobody is one word, but no one is 2 words, and they have the same meaning. Now, when we work with some and any, you need to think back a little bit in time to when you first started learning English and you were learning countable and uncountable nouns. I know, the worst. But some is an undefined quantity. It's more than one, but less than all. So you have every and no in the extremes, and some is everything in between. Okay? It's the same, we use it the same as with uncountable nouns. I have some money, right? I don't know if I have a lot or a little. I have more than one, hopefully. But some is an undefined quantity, okay? Some, it means more than one, but less than all, okay? And then the last one, again, if you think back to when you learned about countable and uncountable nouns, you also learned about any. And any is probably the most indefinite of all of these indefinite pronouns, because when you talk about every, you know you're talking about all. And when you talk about no, you're talking about none. Some is somewhere in between. But any is like the big question mark. You don't know. And this is the one that you're going to use in questions and sometimes in negatives. If your verb is negative, for example, I didn't see anybody at the party, you would use it in the negative. Or, is anybody coming to the party? Okay, in a question. So the question would be, is anybody coming to the party? And then negative, I didn't see anybody at the party. Okay? And again, anybody and anyone, exact same meaning. All right, so this brings me to the grammar, which I know this is the part where people like to translate from their native language, and this is the part where you just have to accept it. You know, it doesn't make sense all the time. Grammar is not math or science, unfortunately. It's a little bit more fluid than that. So even though everyone is talking about a number of people, some is talking about more than one, but less than all. And we know that no is talking about none. We still, and any, we don't know how many we're talking about. We still use the singular. So I know that, again, this is kind of going back to the idea of countable and uncountable, right? Money, for example. A lot of people don't like the idea that money is uncountable in English, right? Money is the root of all evil, for example, which isn't true. But money is, and this is the same. Everybody is coming to the party. Everyone is coming to the party. Okay, same meaning. But even though it represents a group of people, we use the singular. Everyone's coming to the party. All right? So it's important to remember that all 4, or actually all 8, are used in the singular. Okay, and that stands for present, past, future, doesn't matter. It's always the singular. Okay, the only time that you use the plural is when you're actually referring to the subject. So if you say, everyone's coming to the party, and then you want to say, they didn't come at all, nobody came, you would use they, right? So everyone's coming to the party, they are very excited, for example. Everyone is, but when you use the subject pronoun they to refer to everyone, it's the plural. They are very excited. Everyone's coming to the party. They are very excited. See how that works? I know. What can I tell you? So, when they is referring to the indefinite pronoun, you use they. Okay? When you're referring to it, it's already been talked about. Okay? It's already been talked about. Now for negatives, I know I said before that you can use anybody for negatives, but that's when your verb is negative. So for example, I didn't see anybody at the party. The negative is actually with the verb see, and then anybody is separate from that. When your subject is negative, you want to use nobody or no one, okay? That's when your subject is negative. So you want to use nobody and no one for negatives. Okay, I'm going to show you some common errors people make. One common error that people make in regard to indefinite pronouns is, for example, everyone and everybody. In other languages, instead of having one word for it, people have a tendency to translate and say all of the people to mean everyone, right? Because that's a translation from Spanish or French or lots of other languages. All of the people, we don't say that in English. We don't say all of the people. I mean, we do, but not when we're referring to everybody, okay? So that's one common error that I hear people make a lot. Another one is in reference to the negatives. For example, anybody didn't come. Again, referring to the party situation. Anybody didn't come. That's not how we would say it in English. What we would say is nobody came, okay? Because nobody is the subject pronoun. And it's also the indefinite pronoun. It's working both as the subject and the indefinite, all right? So anybody didn't come is not correct. Here's another one. This one's actually even worse because it has two negatives. Nobody didn't come, right? Because you're like, well, there were no people there, so I should use nobody, but this is enough negative in English. We don't do two negatives together. So nobody came is the correct way to say it. Okay? So I hope that's it. I'm done. I know, right? Now I hope that you have a little bit more clarity and a better understanding of everybody, everyone, somebody, someone, anybody, anyone, nobody, no one. 8 new words that you can use in English perfectly in your grammar. The one thing that I do want to add, though, is we've been talking about indefinite pronouns referring to people. Indefinite pronouns can also refer to things. So where we have been talking about everybody, someone, anybody, no one, you can also use thing to refer to objects, right? So nouns refer to people, place, and things. In this case, body and one is for people, and things can be used for objects, and it's the same. Everything, something, anything, nothing. Okay, those are only 4, not 8. Okay, awesome. Thanks, guys, for watching, and there will be lessons on my webpage to practice. I'll put a post up on Facebook. And don't forget, I have speaking classes starting in October. They are small group classes if you're interested in meeting people from around the world and meeting once a week to talk about interesting current events. And then you spend the week practicing online, reading and vocabulary and some grammar. So if you're interested, hit me up. That means contact me. Or you can go to my webpage. There's information there. And don't forget, you can register for free on my webpage where I have reading and grammar and listening lessons that you can use. They use real materials from YouTube and articles to practice your English. So I hope you have a great rest of your day or night wherever you are. And I'll see you next time. Take care.